Welcome to the channel. For the first time viewers, welcome back. For my existing subscribers, it's your boy 5 Stars, and today we're going to go over some of my favorite accuracy tips. I'm going to try to help you get better at aiming in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, as you can see right now, I'm going through and doing my settings all over again because this is my first time going back on my Smurf account, specifically since the Blood Orchid DLC has come out. So that means I haven't been on my secondary account since then. So everything's been reset, as you guys already know. So I'm changing my HUD preferences, which I'll put in the descriptions if you want to kind of copy those settings, and getting my sensitivity back up to par to where I play on my main profile. That's very important to your accuracy. So if you want more tips on the sensitivity portion of this, then you can either copy my settings or you can watch my video on Rainbow Six Siege sensitivity. Now, the settings I'm using today are a little bit different than the ones I was using back then. I'm a lot more comfortable with the game. I'm also playing a lot faster, so that's why you see the variance. Now let's go ahead and get started with this tips video. The first tip I want to go ahead and start with is that you're going to have to burst fire. Bursting gives your gun a chance to reset. As you can see right here, I'm able to take down 3 people in this hallway, and 2 of them were headshots just because I was bursting. So watch I'm going to slow it down so you can watch the ammo after it plays out one time. Pretty much you want to do 3 to 7 round bursts, in my opinion. If it's medium range, you want to do 3 to 5 bursts if it's a little bit longer range, because what will happen is your aim will start to get a little bit crazier. If you use a compensator, it'll help you out a little bit. It'll kind of slow down the recoil, but it doesn't take it away. So what you want to do is you want to burst fire to reset it. Now this next tip that I want to give you guys is pretty much universal. You should be using it on almost any first-person shooter, bar none, because it will just help you out in almost every situation against skilled players, and that is pre-aiming. You have to pre-aim where you think the enemy is going to be. You can see it right here on the next kill that I'm about to get, that I kind of hear somebody coming, and you guys won't hear because the audio is down, but I start pre-aiming the only opening that he can come through, which is right here, and I get the easy kill. So you have to pre-aim in this game. In addition to pre-aiming, you also want to make sure that you're aiming about head height. At the lowest you should be aiming is chest height. So if you're aiming somewhere, unless you're in an angle like where I'm at now, I already know that pretty much if he goes to challenge me, I'm aiming at his head. But I settle for a foot shot, and then the second that comes around, I pretty much get a high chest shot. So that's the beauty of pre-aiming, is that you have the advantage versus trying to aim down sight and then correct your aim on top of it. Another quick trick that you can do when you're pre-aiming is get to the head height level and then use the left joystick to kind of shift and make small corrections. That's kind of the lazy way to aim. You can get a little bit better by playing terrorist hunt and practicing on snapping on your opponents, but in the beginning it's very difficult, and unless you're going to be playing terrorist hunt every single day, this is an easier way for you to kind of transition. I look at Rainbow Six Siege like it's a chess match. So positioning is very important, and that's going to be the next tip that I want to talk to you about. Getting yourself in position for a gunfight is critical in this game, because if you have the better angle, and as I've said in previous videos, a lot of times bad angles get you killed. So if you have the better angle and you're already pre-aiming, you just want to stack as many pieces up on your side as you can, so that you don't have to rely so heavily on your gun skill. Because if it's your gun skill versus somebody else's gun skill, it's whoever is the better player is going to win. But if you're in a better position and you have decent gun skill, you can outgun a better player just by being in better position. One final takeaway about position is that you want to make sure that you make your first shot count so that you don't give away your position. If you can get a headshot on the first go round, sometimes bad teammates don't even call out where you were, and you can then engage the second player and get 2 kills for one pretty much peak. Now, just the other day, I released a video about how to improve your focus in Rainbow Six Siege. So I'm going to link that video in the description, but I will give you the gist of it as one of these tips right here. You have to minimize the distractions. So when you're playing this game, you have to pretty much make sure that you're in an area where you can focus on the gameplay. So if you're in a loud, sometimes you can't help your environment, but if there's any way that you can move to an area that's quieter, I would recommend that, as well as turning off some of the HUD notifications. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of this video where I was going through the settings and slow that down, where you'll be able to see I turn off the versus notifications so that I have to manually look up to see when somebody on the other team dies or when somebody on my team dies. And doing this is to let me focus on the task at hand, which a lot of times is focusing on the next enemy. And the other thing that I turned off was scoring because of the same issues. There's a little bit of instant gratification that you get when you see the score pop up, and turning off scoring will allow you to focus in on the gameplay a lot more than having it on, because at the end of the day, there's a giant red X that shows up, which you'll see in that video, that lets you know that the person is dead. And then you can also leave the kill feed on so that you can just see the name pop up, see your name, and keep it moving from there. So one last tip that I have for you guys is this: saying headshot when aiming helps you get more headshots. This game has a one-shot headshot mechanic from any range, any gun. So as long as you shoot them in the head, they're gonna die immediately. No armor, it doesn't matter. So the one thing that you need to do is just say headshot. It sounds silly, but it actually works to get your muscle memory working in the beginning, and then it just becomes second nature. My last recommendation for you, because that was my last tip, is that you always be learning. So always be asking questions about what you could do better. Always be watching new videos on new strategies, on aiming tips, just different angles you can take. There's always some kind of creator creating some kind of new content that will help better the community. So if you're really serious about getting good at Rainbow Six Siege, then you have to, it's like learning. If you don't apply what you learned, then you lose the skill, and you always want to be learning. All right, you guys take it easy, and I will catch you on the next video.